All right, so what we're showing off here are the Shimpaku Junipers, probably the most iconic trees. They're great evergreen trees, especially if you're a beginner and you've never done bonsai before. This is definitely a tree you want to get. I feel like this is in my way. Uh, Definitely a tree you want to get. So it is a great starter tree. It does have the wire on it. That way you're going to be able to mend and bend it in the position that you want. The tree itself is only $120 right now. With that, you're going to be getting free shipping with priority mail. Now, this tree is so iconic, you ask a random person on the street to think about a bonsai tree, and I guarantee you they're going to be thinking about the Shimpaku Juniper, whether they know the name or not. It's basically, they probably know it as like the Miyagi tree. They probably know it as the Karate Kid tree, because in 1984, when that movie came out, it became wildly popular. That being said, these are super popular and more than just the bonsai world. You've seen them in countless movies, TV shows, video games. You've seen them in, like as far as video games go, you've seen them in, what's it called? Assassin's Creed Shadows. You've seen them in, oh my God, I can't think of any of them. I know Animal Crossing is one of them. But really iconic trees, these are absolutely great. There's a lot of different styles on, if you look online, there's a lot of different styles on how to groom a tree, how to shape it. You could do a cascade. You could go ahead and put it in a longer pot, put it off to the side, and shape the branches to where they look like little clouds and use that negative space to really create a landscape. You could put moss on it. That way it creates like a little, scene. My wife and I went to Santa Cruz a couple weeks ago. So it was actually a couple months ago. And we went to a little shop. It was like this, I don't know, they had like posters and stuff like that, but they had a little bag full of like tiny little raccoons and possums. And so, you could put some of those in there. So it really is a piece of art, something that you're going to be able to continuously shape and continuously, adjust to however you want. And that's what makes these guys really, really nice. Does it get taller? Absolutely. This is still a young tree. The tree is only 10 years old. So as it grows, and it's going to grow a little bit slower than a tree that's just planted into the ground, but as it grows, it is going to get bigger. The trunk's going to get thicker. It will grow a little bit taller, but with your help, with shaping it and pruning it, it's not going to grow that fast. So there are two ways to keep the tree small. One of them, keeping it in the pot. Second one is pruning the branches you don't want, shaping it. You could start giving it some nice curves. If you want to start doing like a cascade, you could have it go under the pot itself. You want to leave it on a shelf in that case. But there's a lot of ways to maintain the height of it, but the tree will start growing thicker. So just keep that in mind. That's why we usually recommend repotting every 2 to 3 years because it will start growing. The more leaves it has, the more roots it needs, meaning that you're going to need to get a slightly bigger pot. Now, something to keep in mind, you're not going to be seeing like 50 years of growth in one day or in 1 year, so it's not going to grow fast. How old did you say it was? Oh, that's a good question. All of the trees that we have are about 10 years old. So it's still going to take time to grow. Now, technically, I can't say that they're going to grow full size, or it's going to grow. This is how big it gets at full size, because technically these trees are going to continue to grow the older they get, and they're technically immortal. Oftentimes, the only reason trees die is because they get too heavy and fall over, or some kind of disease gets to it. They don't die of old age technically. There's stories about these 400-year-old bonsai that are still growing to this day. In fact, the oldest known living bonsai is over 1,000 years old, and it's currently in a museum in Milan, Italy. This tree is an evergreen tree, so it's not going to go through a normal winter dormancy like every other tree. Like any broadleaf tree, those trees tend to drop all their leaves during the winter. All the leaves start turning yellow, greens. Actually, it's more like the green leaves, the leaves. This one right here doesn't drop its leaves during the winter, at least not all of them. But yeah, so this guy right here, the Shimpaku Juniper, doesn't actually lose its leaves, at least not all at once. So one thing you're going to notice, and I don't know if you see any here, not really. Well, kind of. Okay, so this right here, you see how that needle is turning brown? So it's not unhealthy. So what happens is instead of dropping all its leaves at once, the tree itself will drop one needle or one little collection of needles at a time. So it just happens throughout the year in order to start getting new needles in, getting rid of the old stuff and bringing in new ones. So yeah, it's pretty interesting the way that it does that. Again, so if you see your tree get a little, get a little brown here and there, not like all at once, but just like, a needle here, a needle there. Well, that one was already dry. That is absolutely normal. No need to panic at all. Like most broadleaf trees during the fall, it gets rid of all the chlorophyll in the leaves. Fun little fact, leaves aren't actually green. So what happens is like the real color of a leaf is the color that it turns during the autumn. So during the spring and summer, the leaves are full of chlorophyll. So it actually turns the leaf green. And then during the fall, it retracts all that chlorophyll, and then the leaves die. So like the oranges, the yellows, the reds, that's the actual color of the leaf. So fun fact there. So you can see here, number 7's, it looks like it really wants to do a cascade. So what the cascade does is it basically, you could go ahead and bend the branch downward, so then it starts going past the pot itself. And this is especially more visually striking when you have it clear next to a shelf. So if you have like a good drop here, and then you can have the branch growing down this way, and then it'll slowly start curving up, or however you want to do it. And that's the nice thing about the bonsai, is you're gonna be able to adjust it and make it how you want. Especially the Shimpaku Juniper. The Shimpaku Juniper has a lot softer skin, or softer wood, than a lot of the other trees. So it really lends itself to being shaped really easily. So with the wire there, once you find the position that you want, that wire is gonna help it stay in place. In about 6 to 8 months, I highly recommend removing the wire, because what will happen is the trunk itself, the tree and the branches are gonna continue to grow. So it's gonna start getting wider. The wire itself, if not removed, it's gonna start biting into the tree itself. And when you remove the wire, you're gonna notice this permanent divot that's growing into the tree. So just keep an eye on it. Even though I say 6 to 8 months, really just keep an eye on it. Check on the trunk itself. But anyway, when it comes time to remove it, what I recommend getting is bonsai wire cutters, and try to find bonsai specific wire cutters, because they're a lot more dull. So when you go under the wire over the tree, it's not gonna dig into or pierce the wood itself. Now, if you don't know where to find those, we actually have some in our channel shops. If you go to our channel and check out the shop there, we have a lot of bonsai tools to help you get on your way. So if you need pruning shears, if you need concave shears, if you need wire, if you need rocks for saplings, if you're doing a bonsai from the very beginning, we have a lot of stuff. So check it out. Check out the channel, check out the shop there. Now, one of the things that I recommend as well is if you do want to keep your tree inside, I would still recommend putting it outside during the winter. Yes, that is actually the most ideal place to leave it, is leaving the tree outside. It's usually what I recommend. I very, very seldomly recommend keeping a tree inside. It's not recommended. Again, there's a lot of problems with it, lack of airflow, UV protection windows, and sometimes, if the window itself is facing like north or west, you're only going to get the sun during the day, during the morning, and it's not going to get enough sun. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. Can you? Yes, you can keep a tree inside, but it's more recommended that you keep it outside. Again, the tree needs 6 to 8 hours of sun, and during the winter, it needs that cold because it still needs to go through a winter dormancy. How often do you water these? There's no like set schedule on these guys, right? A lot of it has to do with the pot material. A lot of it has to do with how hot it is. The Shimpaku junipers do a really good job with being able to look at the topsoil and kind of knowing when it's time to water. So with the topsoil itself, we have some moss on this, and so let me take the moss off a little bit. What you're gonna wanna do is rub your finger on the dirt itself. If you pick up some dirt like this right here, it's pretty much good to go. But if you ever rub your finger on the dirt and it just picks up mostly dust, or you don't pick up a lot of dirt right there, then it's time to water it. Now, oftentimes, especially during the summer, sometimes you need to water it, twice, rarely, but sometimes 3 times a day. And then during like the fall and spring, fall, spring, maybe like once every 2 to 3 days, and during the winter, maybe once a week. It really depends. You got to keep an eye on it. Every climate zone's a little bit different, so that's usually the best way to do it. But just want to make sure you keep an eye on the pot. If it ever gets over 90 degrees, you want to put your hand on the pot. If it gets too hot to the touch, you want to move the pot somewhere shady. If it ever gets below 0, you want to cover your pot in mulch. Those are the main things. It's pretty simple. Now, the tree does come with the resin pot, as you can see here. So you'll get the pot, the soil, all that stuff right here. I usually recommend swapping out to a clay or ceramic pot, not immediately. You want to let the tree acclimate to the climate that you're in. But for the most part, I recommend swapping it out to a clay or ceramic. It's not mandatory. The reason I recommend clay or ceramic is because the material is a lot more porous. It allows good breathability for the roots, which is important, but again, not 100% mandatory. The one thing that is mandatory though, is whenever you are ready to swap it out, and I highly suggest swapping out the pot, or repotting every 2 to 3 years, because it does grow and you're gonna have to maintain the roots in some cases. But anyway, whenever you do, and let's say you do want to swap out to a different pot, whether it's clay, ceramic, resin, plastic, whatever it is, the most important thing is to make sure that your pot itself has plenty of drainage. And the reason why that's important is because you want to make sure that all of the excess water leaves the pot itself. Otherwise, what's going to happen, let's say you have a pot that doesn't have any drainage on it, it's going to start to pull up at the bottom any excess water, and then it's going to start rotting the roots. It's going to become toxic and it start slowly killing your tree. What you're going to notice is the entire tree starting to turn brown and start dying. A lot of new people will see that and think, hey, my tree is thirsty, so I need to give it more water. And all they do is just exacerbate the problem. So you want to make sure that your pot has drainage, and if it does and you notice it doing that, you want to take it out of the pot, check the roots, cut off any rotting roots, and make sure any of the drainage is not clogged. It shouldn't be an issue so long as you're using proper soil. We highly recommend using bonsai specific soil. It's usually like a mix of crushed up akadama, lava rock, pumice, very porous material. That way any of the water could go ahead and leave the pot itself. So you're gonna notice that this tree right here has a zip tie to it right along with the wire. So basically what that does, it's creating a really dramatic curve when it comes to this angle right here, okay? So you can see that it's just creating just a really sharp turn there, and it's forcing the tree and the branch to maintain that curve. So in about 6 to 8 months, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna go ahead and remove that wire. After that, the branches are gonna be a lot more firm and they're gonna stay in the position that you left them in. And you're good to go for like a year after that. And since we don't actually grow our trees, we actually get sent the trees. We source our trees through this place called Half Moon Bay Bonsai. On a side note, if you happen to be in California near the Bay Area, highly recommend checking out Half Moon Bay Bonsai. Their trees are gorgeous. But they send us all of their younger trees. Again, the tree itself is $120, free shipping, priority mail. So the only thing you have to pay for is the tree and taxes. And you're pretty much good to go from there. Like I said, free shipping, priority mail, and you're golden. There are 7 states that I cannot ship to: Hawaii, Florida, Texas, Washington, Ohio, Virginia, or Alaska. I cannot ship to you. It's not that we don't like you. A lot of states are very particular about plants coming in and out of the state. Whenever you get the tree in, it's gonna look like this. Now, this is not the final look of the tree. We actually condense all of the branches just so whenever it's shipping, it doesn't get jostled around too much. Now, if you were gonna, once we ship it out to you, you're gonna be able to open it up and see where all the branches go. Then at that point, you're gonna be able to decide what the shape of the tree is gonna be.